WWE superstar Becky Lynch's contract is set to expire in just a few days on June 1st, with no new contract being reached just yet. The man is set to become a free agent, and last night may have been her final match under her current WWE contract. She lost a World Championship steel cage match against Liv Morgan, during which Morgan actually locked lips with the Judgment Day's Dominik Mysterio after the match took place. Tony Khan details the current talks between AEW and WBD over a new television rights contract. The latest Uncle Howdy teasers have been revealed, once again teasing a actual debut date for this new faction that has been teased. Chad Gable attacked Sami Zayn last night, but he continued to berate the Alpha Academy, specifically Otis, and despite being suspended, Bron Breakker shows up last night on Monday Night Raw. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Becky Lynch. Some big developments when it comes to the immediate future of the former WWE Women's World Champion and possible free agency for one of the biggest stars in WWE. Now, Becky Lynch going into Raw last night was set for this world title steel cage match on Raw, but by this weekend, she could be wrapped up in WWE. As I mentioned, going into Raw last night, Lynch was set for this world title rematch in the main event against Liv Morgan. Now, according to Sean Rossap of Fightful Select, as of yesterday morning, Becky Lynch and WWE had not reached terms on a new contract, though the two sides have been in contact. Now, Fightful have not learned if a deal is imminent or agreed upon, or outside of that, there isn't. One thing that can be confirmed is that no new deal has been reached. They've also not learned on if that has any bearing on last night's match. Of course, she didn't win, but as of yesterday morning, no new contract had been reached between WWE and Becky Lynch. According to Fightful, Lynch's current WWE contract is set to expire on June 1st, at which time she will become a free agent unless a deal is reached before then. Now, Lynch is expected by many in the industry to get the biggest offer of any woman in professional wrestling history. So, it's led the question going into last night's Raw, would it have any bearing on the scheduled steel cage match for the Women's World Championship? Well, one thing is for certain, Becky Lynch did not win the match and is not the Women's World Champion after dropping the championship to Liv Morgan over the weekend in Saudi Arabia. Now, in a return engagement from Saturday's King and Queen of the Ring premium live events, brought about by Becky Lynch enacting her rematch clause, WWE Women's World Champion Liv Morgan retained her title over Lynch in what very could well have been the man's last match in WWE. In a chaotic final sequence on Raw, Dominik Mysterio once again interfered, seemingly on Lynch's behalf, while Braun Strowman was chasing Finn Balor and JD McDonough around the ring before he smashed into Mysterio, who went hurtling into the cage door, slamming it right into Lynch's head, allowing Morgan to escape the cage and defend her championship easily. Now, after the main event, Morgan made her way up the ramp, crossing paths with Mysterio and locking eyes before she planted a kiss on Dirty Dom as the show went off the air. In a backstage segment with Lyra Valkyria earlier in the show, reflecting on their respective losses from Saturday, Lynch said, quote, "Okay, so Saturday didn't go our way, but it's not about winning all the time, it's about getting better every time. So we either win or we learn, and we keep winning or learning until it's time to walk away." The moment could have been a harbinger of things to come, certainly for the man. As I mentioned, Lynch's contract status with WWE has been heavily talked about of late, and specifically yesterday, with this report from Fightful Select reporting that her deal is actually coming up this coming Saturday, as the sides have not yet come to an agreement on terms at this time. With all of this being out in the open, fans in the know likely had their eyes and ears especially focused on last night's main event, which saw Lynch hit the ring in the same Scott Hall / Outsiders inspired gear she wore at Elimination Chamber in February. Monday marked the anniversary of Hall's debut in WCW on May 27, 1996. The match was also in a steel cage, which is technically reminiscent of the infamous curtain call incident, which marked Hall's final night in the company. Now, as far as Becky Lynch commenting on her future, or maybe lack thereof, in WWE, she did post this cryptic tweet after Raw went off the air, after this steel cage defeat Monday night on Raw. Lynch, after her steel cage match against Liv Morgan, simply posted "to be continued" with a photo of her seemingly walking out of the arena. So the question becomes, what do you think is going to happen when it comes to Becky Lynch? Is this part of a wider, elaborate plan for Becky Lynch? Do you think she'll come to terms on a new WWE contract? Do you think she will explore free agency? Do you think she'll get an offer from AEW? Where do you think the man goes next? And what do you think happens? And do you think her dropping the championship so soon after she won it is an indication that she is set to leave WWE? Let me know your reaction, your thoughts in the comment section below about the future of Becky Lynch. Now, Dominik Mysterio, meanwhile, he has also reacted to having a lip lock with Liv Morgan after Monday Night Raw. He simply stated, "Well, fuck," in a GIF featuring Kermit the Frog. Where do you think this one's going? Do you think it's going to be a swerve that Dominik was actually attempting to help Liv Morgan this whole time? There have been teases and hints about this previously. Or do you think it's just the case of Dominik having a run of bad luck when it comes to Morgan? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Now, speaking of AEW, a bit of an update from Tony Khan himself as to the negotiations between Warner Brothers Discovery and also AEW on a media rights deal. Now, AEW CEO Tony Khan has praised Warner Brothers Discovery leadership, particularly CEO David Zaslav, ahead of AEW's media rights renewal. In the post-Double or Nothing media scrum, Khan was asked about AEW's negotiations with WBD regarding a new deal. He stated that 2024 is an exciting and important year for AEW and spoke of the importance of wrestling returning to TNT and TBS. He said, quote, "It's a really big year. I think a lot of you know some of these details, but to peel back the curtain, this is our media renewal year, and like a lot of athletes or teams, it's a big year with a big opportunity. We're really swinging for the fences here, so it's going to be really important for us. We've been going now for 5 years at Warner Brothers Discovery, and it's been the most amazing relationship," said Khan. "When we started this, something that was really important to me was bringing wrestling back to TNT and TBS, because it really, to the American fans, it is something I grew up on, and it's a tradition that goes back over 50 years, and it had been interrupted for too long, and it's really great having wrestling on TNT and TBS. It just fits like a glove, in my opinion." Khan also talked about how AEW Collision, which began a year ago, has been a success, while also adding that new pay-per-views like Dynasty have also done well, and believes that all 3 pay-per-views of 2024 have been excellent. Tony Khan also detailed his relationship with WBD and their CEO David Zaslav, highlighting how Zaslav has been keen to have more AEW programming on WBD. He said, quote, "I know we were having great talks and I'm very blessed to have engaged with the awesome leadership of Warner Brothers Discovery. Mr. Zaslav has been amazing for AEW," said the AEW CEO. "Again, like I was just saying, to be able to create new opportunities after several years of being here and a couple of different great regimes, including the awesome regime that helped us launch this, it's been so refreshing to have Mr. Zaslav come in with a fresh perspective and want more AEW and give us the opportunity to do a meal and a match. Give us every Saturday night on TNT for Collision, and I would absolutely love to stay here as long as they would have us." Now, Khan reiterated how AEW has been treated well by TBS and TNT, and that he's pleased to be working for Zaslav and WBD, and hopes that the partnership will continue. AEW's deal with WBD to air AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage, and AEW Collision expires on December 31st, 2024. Recent reports have indicated that WBD is happy with AEW despite the recent slump in ratings. An official announcement of any new deal between AEW and WBD could reportedly be released in the summer or fall of this year. Of course, if we get any more details on that in the future, we'll let you know. Now, the teasers have continued when it comes to Uncle Howdy and his faction, set to debut soon on WWE programming. Another QR code appeared on Raw as more clues continue to point to a faction led by Uncle Howdy coming on a specific upcoming date. Now, the QR code linked to another WWE website which featured a series of clues pointing to Uncle Howdy. Now, there was a video presented in a breaking news style which seemed to feature a proof of life video from the missing therapist, noting that she was happy to have been set free. Take a look at the latest video.
Thank you to everybody who voiced so much concern about me being missing. Honestly, I'm surprised everyone was so worried. I was completely fine and never in any danger. I'm just thankful he set me free. Thank you to everybody who voiced so much concern about me being missing. Honestly, I'm surprised everyone was so worried. I was completely fine and never in any danger. I'm just thankful he set me free.
Once again, certainly spooky stuff from Uncle Howdy. Now, also, as I mentioned, there's was this second video. It featured a point of view perspective of the computer screen that seemingly edited the video, with a third link linking to a screenshot. You can see the screenshot on the screen in that picture right there next to Uncle Howdy. The screenshot seemingly is of a Ring doorbell camera with a link labeled Ring Ring. Now, one big thing to note is the potential meaning behind the phrase Decree 900 appearing on the screen. It is seemingly in reference to a Guatemalan reformation law, which was conspicuously enacted on June 17, 1952, which would be the third clue pointing to the specific date of June 17. Previously, the Saint Renarius was referenced in the URL of a QR code, with sleuths noting that the Feast of Renarius is fast approaching on June 17. Also, one of the written messages to a member of the group had June 17 written out via the first letters of each sentence. So that's three clues now pointing to June 17. Now, that date is the Monday after Clash at the Castle, the next premium live event on June 15, 2024 from Glasgow, Scotland. That Raw is set to take place from Corpus Christi, Texas, so that could be the time, date, and location when we finally see this faction debut. Now, Chad Gable, speaking of factions, he seemingly is pretty close to splitting up his own faction in Alpha Academy. Now, after weeks of Chad Gable showing an abusive streak towards his Alpha Academy proteges, it seemed his rage boiled over on last night's Raw. Shown earlier in the night in a backstage segment, Gable questioned why Akira Tozawa wasn't in Saudi Arabia and blamed part of the Intercontinental Championship loss on being distracted, wondering where Tozawa was. Moving on to Maxine, Gable again insulted her intellect and forbade her from accompanying Otis to the ring for his match later against Big Bronson Reed. Commanding Otis to win, it seemed there would be stiff consequences in the event Otis wasn't able to pull out the victory. After Otis lost to Big Bronson Reed on last night's episode of Raw, because of Gable constantly berating him, Gable called out the rest of Alpha Academy for an impromptu meeting inside the ring. Calling Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupree from the back, the show went to commercial break as Gable noted he was holding an immediate team meeting. Returning from the commercial break, all three Alpha Academy team members were in the ring with Chad Gable, with Gable telling Otis that he blew it. He said that Otis lacked discipline, so last night he would discipline him in front of everybody and got ready to whip Otis with his bout. However, when Maxine interrupted Gable from swinging, Gable began mocking her and even threw her out of the ring and told her not to come back. Before Gable could continue to whip Otis, instead Sami Zayn came out, pausing to check on Maxine before angrily storming to the ring. Telling Gable that he should only blame himself for his failures instead of others, Zayn would encourage Otis to stand up for himself, but instead Zayn got a sucker punch courtesy of Chad Gable. After a continued beatdown while Otis and Akira Tozawa stood by watching on, torn as to whether to help or not, the crowd chanted "Let's go Otis" as the sad big man paused on his way out of the ring. Despite the hesitation, he would continue to leave with Gable and Tozawa. With Michael Cole describing the situation as Stockholm Syndrome, it seems that the trio remains intact for now anyway. And finally, Bron Breakker, despite being suspended, showed up last night on Monday Night Raw. Ahead of a match last night featuring Ricochet taking on Ilya Dragunov, there was a recap of their previous interactions, including last week when their confrontation was cut off by Bron Breakker running in and tackling Ricochet. In a backstage segment featuring Adam Pearce and Ricochet last night, Ricochet requested a match against Breakker after what happened last week. However, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce informed Ricochet that he'd suspended Breakker following his attacks on both Ricochet and Kale Dixon. After being denied a match with Breakker, Ricochet then requested one with Ilya Dragunov instead, which Pearce made official. During said match, despite being suspended, Bron Breakker appeared and speared both Ricochet and Dragunov, causing the match to be ended. Adam Pearce then stormed out and started berating Breakker, but stopped when he realized Bron Breakker might attack him too. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.